All right, good afternoon. Happy Friday. Thanks for being here on a day that we don't usually brief. I'll just do a few things at the top and then happy to take your questions. So, yesterday, Secretary Austin shared his final Ukraine Defense Contact Group. Since it first convened in April 2022, the UDCG has served as a critical international coalition coordinating the swift and sustained delivery of security assistance to Ukraine. Under Secretary Austin's leadership, this group has grown to include some 50 countries from all around the world, all united behind the common cause of supporting Ukraine in its fight for freedom. As you heard the Secretary say yesterday, the UDCG has developed into an arsenal of Ukrainian democracy and an engine of global security. That's why you saw Secretary Austin announce a new $500 million presidential drawdown package in support of Ukraine, and why together UDCG members have committed more than $126 billion in security assistance for this fight. And under Secretary Austin's leadership, this remarkable level of teamwork has paid off. Russia has suffered more than 700,000 casualties, and the Russian economy is struggling to keep up with the UDCG's support to Ukraine. And even as Moscow leans now on North Korea to support its war of choice, Putin has failed to achieve a single strategic objective. Secretary Austin reiterated that our international coalition to support Ukraine must not flinch. Even as the Secretary's tenure is coming to an end, today 14 countries and Ukraine lead the UDCG's 8 capability coalitions, which focus on bolstering the capabilities of Ukraine's future force. Yesterday, UDCG members endorsed each of the capability coalition's roadmaps, which lay out a sustainable approach to helping meet both Ukraine's long-term and near-term capability needs. Secretary Austin said it best that the structure of this coalition is, quote, built to succeed, built to adapt, and built to last. And now let me turn to the devastating wildfires in California. Secretary Austin continues to monitor the situation, and the department remains prepared to support response efforts as needed. Currently, over 600 California National Guardsmen are activated, including 14 hand crews for fuel mitigation, 200 military police for security operations, and 10 helicopters for firefighting and search and rescue operations. This number is expected to increase over the next 24 hours. In addition, 8 modular aerial firefighting systems, or MAFs, equipped C-130 aircraft are being activated under state authorities. The first 2 are expected to begin operations today, and the remaining 6 are expected to be ready by Sunday. March Air Reserve Base is serving as the staging base for FEMA, and the Defense Coordinating Officer and Element are being activated to support the effort. As announced by the President, 500 active duty personnel currently stationed at Camp Pendleton, California, are preparing to support requests from federal and state authorities with route clearance, commodity distribution, search and rescue, rotary wing airlift, and general support as requested. Earlier this week, you heard me announce that the department is preparing 10 Navy helicopters with water delivery buckets to immediately assist with aerial suppression. Under a long-standing memorandum of agreement with CAL FIRE, active duty units in Naval Region Southwest are prepared to provide aircraft and aircrew to support the firefighting efforts. These units are trained and annually certified by CAL FIRE to provide supplemental firefighting capability when requested by the state of California and approved by the Secretary. It's important to remember that the department is in a supporting role for this response with FEMA, leading and coordinating federal response and assistance. We are actively planning and preparing capabilities and resources and are working closely with FEMA, the state of California, to provide support and to ensure a unified response to the wildfires. And with that, I'd be happy to take your questions. I'll go to the phone. I believe we have AP joining us on the phones, Lita Baldor.
Hi, Sabrina. Thank you very much. I wanted to just clarify, you talked about the 500 active duty. Those are all Marines. Is that accurate? And do you know if they have gotten their orders, if they have started? Can you just give us a little precision on that? And then on the 10 helicopters that you talked about the other day, last I knew, the orders still had not been cut. Do you know if those orders had been cut and if they are actively moving on that yet? Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Lita, for the question. So on both questions, we are actively preparing and standing by to support the state of California as they request that support. On the 500 personnel, you asked, I believe, if they were active duty, and the units that will be going or the 500 personnel that would be going all consist of active duty Marines from one meth. And I think I gathered all your questions there. All right, coming into the room. Louis.
Is this an example of the department being proactive in placing units on standby? Because as you know, no taskings, no orders been gone out yet. So that doesn't indicate this LA or CAL FIRE or the state has actually requested these assets aside from the California National Guard. So is that the best way to characterize this?
So part of this is, as the secretary, to borrow a phrase that the secretary uses, being in a three-point stance so that we can surge capabilities and assets immediately into the state and as the governor's office requests these capabilities. You've seen the president announce some of these, including the authorization of these 500 service members that can go and assist with a variety of capabilities into the state of California. But absolutely, it is a combination of being ready so that we can surge assets in, and then also working with FEMA, which will be the coordinator of all the federal response and the state of California in meeting their needs. And I've certainly gotten this question of why aren't you rushing assets in right away? Why isn't the military putting all of their forces right now on the ground? We have to work with the state. So as the state requests resources, as the state of California requests, capabilities, we are standing by and ready to support, but we absolutely have to work with the state and the governor is going to know best on how to use our assets. So we're working with CAL FIRE. We have a great partner in them.
And is there also an issue of having to train some of these troops in fire suppression since that's not a normal tasking?
Well, some of this, as I think you heard me mention at the top, especially with the Navy helicopters, we have a memorandum of agreement. So there is, yes, some training component that goes in and certification that CAL FIRE needs to do in order to allow these firefighting capabilities to be implemented in the state. So yes, there is a level of certification and training, but we're standing by ready to support. And as I mentioned earlier, you've already seen, or you're going to see some of the MAFs being operational today, with some more coming in this weekend. Charlie, and then I'll come.
Okay, well, it kind of leads on to that,
Sure.
too. And this is from my own curiosity. The Navy helicopters, if I understood the other question earlier, they're not in the air.
We are preparing to support, but we are working with the state of California on where they need to go. So again, this is the president, the secretary, the authorization has been given, but we have to work with California in when they get up in the air and how they're best utilized.
Where are they?
The Navy helicopters will be coming. You're asking where they're being sourced from. So units in the Navy region Southwest are providing aircraft and aircrew from Naval Station North Island, Marine Corps Air Station Camp Pendleton, and Marine Corps Air Station Miramar.
Okay. And my last question, again, leading on to that, to put it in military terms, forward postured, I think is the way it would
Sure,
be described,
yeah.
right? So to Louis' point, you've got personnel who are ready and trained, but this is the DoD's own initiative on anticipating a request that they might be needed to.
Yeah.
That's how.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're a planning organization. We plan for a variety of things. We plan for requests to be made from states, and the Northcom has to be able to quickly be able to allocate resources and people while maintaining their day-to-day roles and responsibilities and jobs. So the commander of Northcom has to think about all of this and anticipate some of the requests that we could get from states when it comes to floods, fires, any natural disaster. What we're seeing in California, these fires are ranging in different sizes and all throughout the state. So of course the commander is going to make the decision to move and prepare assets. So when the state requests it, we're ready to go, where there's not a lag in time. Does that help?
More maps available if necessary?
Right now, this is what's been allocated and requested. Again, we can always see support change as things go on. But right now, this is all I have to read out this time. Warren.
I just wanted to be clear on this. What so far has California requested? You've said they've requested the maps.
The maps are.
More, or is everything else just you getting ready in case they do request?
So I'm not going to, as you can appreciate, I'm not going to speak for California and all of their requests. We're not the only agency that they are making these requests to. I think it's also important to note that with any natural disaster like what we saw in North Carolina later last year, is FEMA is going to be central in coordinating federal assistance. And I think what's important here is also everything remains so fluid. So California, with all these different fires, has to assess how they are allocating their own resources from CAL FIRE, and then also knitting together what DoD assets can be provided. And not to use like a sports analogy here, but you don't want to rush all your players onto the football field without having a strategy. And that's what we don't want to see happen here. You don't want to see a clog. You don't want to see resources being diverted to one fire when actually they need to go somewhere else. So that's why we're working with the state, with FEMA, and getting some of the MAFs ready that will be operational today. Some will be going in over the weekend. And then, of course, we have our personnel, additional helicopters standing by to support.
Are there outstanding requests from California?
I think anything that California is going to request, as the president has said, we're going to rise and meet those requests and work with the state with what they need. But I think what's important to remember is we are knitting in to FEMA, who is leading the federal response. So I'm not aware that anything that has been requested from the state of California to the department hasn't been met. But again, we're working with FEMA and California to meet their needs.
Very quick Ukraine question.
Excuse me, I'm sorry. I just have
The $500 million, how much unused presidential drawdown authority will be transferred or transitioned to the next administration?
So it'll be just under, oh, my tablet stopped working, but it'll be just under, no, it's okay, don't worry. It'll be just under $4 billion that will be left in authority to, that the next administration will get the opportunity to use for Ukraine. Yes, Constantine.
Thanks. So going back to the response for a second, so on Wednesday you said, and I'm looking at my log of the briefing, the department is sending 10 Navy helicopters with water delivery buckets to immediately assist. Mm-hmm. And that's what we reported. And, members of Congress, Representative Scott Peters, yesterday thanked the Navy for sending the helicopters. And now you're telling us the helicopters have yet to actually show up. So, acknowledging, as you say, sort of the intricacies of federal versus state authorities, nonetheless, where did this breakdown occur in terms of the messaging of we're sending the helicopters to the helicopters are coming?
Fair parsing of words, and appreciate my words being read back to me. Look, we are going to do everything we need to support California in whatever requests that they make. And the president has directed this department to surge capabilities to California. These helicopters are standing by. They're preparing and ready to go for when California is ready to receive them. So by sending, fair criticism, could I have said, is preparing to send? I'll take that. Again, they're standing by to assist with aerial suppression. They are getting certified also by CAL FIRE, and we have this longstanding memorandum of agreement. So what I can tell you is, there's so many different fires raging. Sorry, I have this tickle that I cannot get rid of. So many different fires raging in California. We have to work in coordination with the state and FEMA when it comes to how we address each single fire. And not just the fires, it's the road clearing, it's the management, it's how people get back into their homes. All of this knits together very carefully in an intricate way that is going to take a little time. It's going to take some coordinating. And again, when when someone else asks this, you just don't want to surge a bunch of capability and resources into a region without a full plan. So that's what we're doing, and we're working very closely with the state to make sure that we're getting their needs met.
Okay. Sabrina.
Can I think Constantine had one more.
So just to, if I'm understanding what you're saying, extrapolating from what you're telling me is that there hasn't been any issue in Northcom cutting orders. There hasn't been any delays. You guys are being methodical in this approach, and we'll attribute sort of Wednesday to a imprecise use of language.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Hey, Sabrina.
Yeah, Liz.
Hey, just real quick, a follow-up
Sure.
on that. So you just said DoD doesn't want to surge resources without a plan. Can you explain then
Without
why?
a plan with California,
Yeah,
like
right, of
in working with California. Yeah.
So why did U.S. Northern Command send the 8 C-130s to California when California hasn't used its own 2 C-130s it already has?
So the MAFs are coming from, I mean, I think those were requested, Liz, but let me just do one quick check here. I just want to make sure that I get this right. The MAFs, I believe, were requested, and they're being activated under state authorities. So, this was something that was urgently needed right away. They are, some of them are being put to use as early as today, some more for the weekend. What I said was about surging capabilities. We are gonna work with California with whatever they need when it comes to addressing these fires happening on the ground. But we have to do it in a way that is methodical and in a way that fits in with Cal Fire's efforts, doesn't overlap or take away from any efforts that are ongoing on the ground. And at the end of the day, we are at the direction of the state and of the governor. So FEMA's leading the federal response, and we are fitting into that federal response.
Sorry, just to clarify, you said MAFs. Do you mean, is that like interchangeable with C-130?
That's the 8 MAF C-130s. That's right.
Okay.
Yeah. The MAF-equipped C-130 aircraft.
Okay. Got it. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Charlie had one, and then I'll come over here. Yep. And then I'm going to go to the phone.
I just need to drill down because Americans, especially people in California, were saying, well, what is taking so long? So they're not pointing the finger of blame at why has it taken so long, but they're still fighting these fires. You have grounded aircraft that are capable of doing it. The air situation has been more benevolent in recent days than it has, so that the wind has died down. Is this a question that we put to the governor of California or to the DOD?
Well, Charlie, first, for the people of California, I mean, I'm from LA. I'm from the area where these fires are hitting. I mean, my parents' home is like absolutely like they have a car packed and ready to go. They're seeing the smoke. They're seeing the ash fall. I think this is, for anyone that's on the ground that's seeing the devastation that these fires are causing, it's absolutely heartbreaking. So I think first and foremost, we understand what the people of Los Angelinos, Californians are experiencing right now. It's important to note here that the department is not the lead for these efforts. The state is the lead when it comes to this ever-changing, very fluid situation on the ground, just as other states have been for other natural disasters that have occurred over time, whether it be Hawaii, North Carolina, Florida. The states are always in the lead. DOD is in a supporting role, and I think it's just really important to remember that we are supporting the state's efforts and FEMA's efforts, and FEMA is coordinating the federal assistance and response like any type of emergency like this. So we're going to continue to work with the lead agencies, with the state of California, to plan and anticipate needs. That's what you're seeing the commander of Northern Command do. That's what you're seeing the secretary do here as well. And, of course, the president has directed this department to be agile and to support California with what it needs during this time. Does that help? Okay, great.
It doesn't answer why those aircraft are still on the ground when they should be in the air.
Again, we're getting aircraft. There are 2 going up today. Hold on. There are 2 going up today. There's 6 more going up this weekend. We are standing by to support as needed with California, like as California requests, but we absolutely cannot just surge assets into an area without a plan. We can get as many aircraft if we want up in the air if needed, but if we don't have a plan to attack a fire, then that aircraft is not going to do much good. So we have to work with the state, we have to work with the governor, and most importantly, we're the supporting role here. So we're working with FEMA in what in the plans that they're putting together. I'm going to go to the phones, and I'll come back in the room here. Heather, USNI.
Great. 2 questions, one on this response. What requests exactly has the DoD received from FEMA or from California in terms of sending helicopters or military service members? And then a question on the Houthis. The Houthis are claiming that they attacked Truman again today, and also that that Central Command struck Houthi sites ahead of the January 8th strikes that CENTCOM announced. Any confirmation of either one of those?
Yeah. Thanks, Heather. So on the Houthis, again, really shocked by their disinformation on striking our ships in the region. There have been no attacks on our ships. In terms of your question on strikes, the most recent strikes that Central Command conducted were on January 8th that I read out here at the podium. We, of course, have conducted dynamic strikes, I think, over the maybe last few days, as Houthis have launched or we see them prepare to launch missiles or UAVs at our ships or commercial vessels. We take those actions, those dynamic strikes. I think there were some as recently as yesterday. In terms of your other question, look, I'm not going to read out everything that California and FEMA has requested. I can tell you what the department is doing, which is, again, providing some of those maps that you will see, going into California today and over the weekend. And then we are also preparing, additional forces to assist California with what they need. You heard the president speak to that's our 500 personnel, additional Navy helicopters that are going to knit into California's response to these fires. With that, I will go to two more on the phone here. Meredith, Jane's Defense.
Hi, I have a question about the PDA package announced yesterday. Air-to-ground munitions were listed on the package, and I was hoping if you could confirm if they have been provided in a previous package, and if not, then why now? And could you further confirm if those are the JASSM missiles?
Thanks, Meredith, for the question. In terms of what we provided, candidly, I don't have our release of everything that was listed in the PDA that was announced yesterday. No new capabilities were in there. We've provided some of these capabilities in the past. I direct you to the defense.gov website, which lists out everything that we provided in that package yesterday. And Raheem, Kurdistan TV. Don't think we have you. Yes. Goyle.
Two quick questions. One is, as far as national security is concerned, how much you think TikTok is dangerous for this building, like part of Chinese Communist Party, and also so many activities by the Chinese were also going on around the U.S. Military facilities and all that.
Yeah, appreciate the question, but that is obviously being litigated in the courts right now, so I'm not going to have anything to add on that one.
And second, India's foreign minister was here in Washington last week for almost a week. If he had any chance to meet and discuss anything, U.S.-India military-to-military relations here at the Pentagon.
I don't have any meetings to read out at this time. We always read those out, but nothing to read out here.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Sabrina. The Syrian Democratic Forces are suggesting if the U.S. and French troops are deployed to the northern Syrian border, they can diffuse the conflicts between the SDF and Turkish-backed forces. Is there any kind of talks going on, and how do you look at it?
I'm not aware of any joint patrols, if that's what you're alluding to, with U.S., French, and SDF forces. No, I'm not aware of anything like that. Again, our presence in Syria remains in that eastern part of the country. We partner with the SDF. Obviously, our longstanding mission to defeat ISIS in Syria remains, but I don't think there's any truth to those reports. Okay, great. One more, and then I have one more. I have one more thing to add at the end of this.
Okay, yeah, it's just we all had questions about Syria because the troop numbers, as we know, well, at least acknowledging that there are more troops there, 2,000 troops. But there have also been some rumors, not only of movement and setting up semi-permanent structures, but they may be planning to pull out if necessary. Or
Who's they?
The U.S. troops that are there now.
Okay.
if ordered to by this new administration.
Oh.
So has there been any change in either the posture, the number, or the status of the troops there?
So let me adjust your question on the structures being set up. I think I talked about this on Wednesday, but if I can be more clear here, I will. The U.S. is not setting up any type of basing or permanent structures in the Kobani region, which I think is what you're referencing. In terms of U.S. presence and force posture, no changes. The incoming administration can't speak for any decisions that they will make, but in terms of this administration, this secretary, no changes to force posture in Syria or Iraq, and the mission that they're there for still remains when it comes to ensuring the enduring defeat of ISIS. Okay, so just very quickly, it's Friday. It's also my last briefing. So I just wanted to just take a few minutes to express my deep gratitude for those who have supported me on this journey. First and foremost, I deeply want to thank Secretary Austin for entrusting me with the incredible honor of standing up here, briefing all of you, representing the department. It's truly been a privilege to be up here every single time that I've been able to do it, representing our men and women in uniform and our dedicated civilian workforce. To my joint staff colleagues, thank you again so much for your unwavering support, your patience with all my questions, sharing your knowledge. You've made me better every single day because of that. To my OSDPA family, because we are a family, and so I thank you for that. To my DPO teammates, you're truly the heartbeat of this press team. Your patience, support, your friendship have really meant the world to me. You've challenged me, you've pushed me, you've given me confidence to stand up at this podium and to represent you all. I just do have to shout out and give a special thank you to our ATSD Chris Marr, Carly Weibel, General Ryder, Colonel Devine, and Chris Garver for all your help, support, prepping me for all these briefings. It's been invaluable, and I truly don't have the words to express my gratitude, so thank you. To my lovely press colleagues in the room, you're indispensable to democracy. We've had our debates, our disagreements, our commiserations, our conversations. You've certainly challenged me. You never took it easy on me from day one, from my first off-camera gaggle, which you can go back and read the transcript on how rough that was, to where I am today. And even today, even having these conversations and these debates, you've pushed me to be better. And so I really respect all the work that you do. I appreciate all the work that you do, and just thank you deeply. I've truly loved working here. So I've had the opportunity to work with the best people. This is the best team I've been a part of. And it's been an honor every single day that I get to stand up here. And so just thank you for everything. And I will leave it at that. Yeah.